The storm rolled over the city like an angry tide, hurling rain against the glass towers of downtown Manhattan. Thunder cracked overhead as if the sky were splitting open, and the wind roared between buildings, throwing torrents of rain sideways. It was the kind of day that made the entire city feel like it was underwater, miserable, chaotic, and gray. On a drenched sidewalk, a young man named Leo Carter stumbled forward, blinking against the rain that pelted his face. His umbrella had inverted and snapped within 5 minutes of opening it, leaving him fully exposed. Now it hung limply from his hand like a broken wing. His suit, which had been pressed and cleaned just 2 hours ago, was now completely ruined, stuck to his skin, smeared with dirty water. He tried to wipe mud off his sleeves with a trembling hand, but it only made things worse. Leo had started the day at 5 a.m., getting dressed in the small attic bedroom he shared with his brothers in upstate New York. His mother had wished him luck before leaving for her job at the diner. There had been no backup suit, no car, no driver. Just him and a bus ticket. He had rehearsed answers for every interview question, studied the firm's recent acquisitions, and memorized their company values. He was ready. But then the bus broke down just outside Harlem. An electrical failure. The driver had shaken his head and said it might take hours. Leo had looked at the time. It was already 8:50 a.m. His interview was at 10 o'clock. He got off the bus. It took him 15 minutes to figure out the subway was stalled. Then he ran. 3 miles. Dress shoes slapping against pavement, splashing through puddles. At one point, he tried to take a shortcut through Central Park and slipped face first into the mud. His hands were scraped, his slacks torn at the knee, and by the time he reached the building, Stratton and Hale Enterprises, a 67-story glass giant in the financial district, he looked like he'd just crawled out of a construction site. He stepped into the rotating glass doors and entered the lobby. Every eye turned to him. The marble floor beneath him quickly darkened with muddy footprints. Rainwater dripped from his sleeves, and his hair, usually neatly combed, was plastered to his forehead. The lobby gleamed with luxury, chandeliers, polished chrome, and people in $1,000 suits. He looked like a disaster. Behind a white marble reception desk, a poised woman in her 40s stared at him with one arched eyebrow. She wore red lipstick and an expression that said she wasn't paid enough for this. "Excuse me, sir. Can I help you?" Leo approached the desk, every squish of his shoes announcing his shame. I have an interview. For the internship program. 10 o'clock. Leo Carter. She blinked at him. Interview. Yes. I called earlier. I told them the bus broke down and I'd be late. They told me to come if I could. She narrowed her eyes, her gaze flicking over his appearance again. She didn't say anything for a moment, then picked up the phone. She whispered into the receiver, covered the mic with her hand once and glanced at him again. A minute passed. Leo shifted awkwardly, aware of the puddle forming beneath him. Finally, she hung up and nodded at a security guard standing nearby. "Mr. Hale will see him," she said. Leo's heart jolted. "Mr. Hale. Elijah Hale." The guard nodded. "Come with me." They walked in silence to the elevator. The ride up was fast, smooth, and silent, too silent. Leo wiped his hands on his pants and tried not to imagine what would happen when he stepped onto the executive floor looking like this. He'd read about Elijah Hale. The reclusive billionaire. Built the company from nothing. Brutally smart, notoriously cold. He wasn't supposed to be part of intern interviews. When the elevator doors opened, they revealed a space unlike anything Leo had ever seen. The entire top floor was glass and black stone. One side of the office was an enormous window, looking out over the skyline. Rain streaked down the glass in long trails. And standing in the middle of it all, arms folded, was Elijah Hale. He looked younger than Leo had expected. Maybe in his early 50s. Athletic build. A close-cut salt and pepper beard, sharp cheekbones, and eyes that were steel gray and unreadable. He wore a simple charcoal turtleneck and slacks that probably cost more than Leo's monthly rent. The door shut behind Leo. There was silence. Hale stared at him for a long, unnerving moment. "So," he finally said, "you're the muddy intern." Leo stood up straighter, even though his spine ached from the run. "Yes, sir. You look like you crawled here through a battlefield." Leo nodded. "Pretty much, sir." Hale didn't smile. His gaze remained locked on Leo's face. It wasn't a cruel gaze. Just calculating. Silent. Then he gestured toward the sleek black leather chair opposite his desk. Sit. Leo sat. The leather squelched beneath his wet suit. Hale walked around the desk slowly, his hands behind his back. He didn't take his seat, just stood beside the massive window. Tell me, Mr. Carter, why on earth would anyone come to an interview looking like this? Leo met his gaze. Because it was this or not coming at all. The answer hung in the air. Hale blinked. Go on. I come from a small town called Clayridge. You've probably never heard of it. No one has. My mom works double shifts at a diner. My dad's been gone since I was 8. I have 3 younger siblings. I'm the first person in my family to graduate college. Hale said nothing. Leo continued, voice steady now. I got this interview. I didn't have a car, just a bus ticket. I got up early, got dressed in my one suit. When the bus broke down, I called ahead. They said to come if I could. So I walked 3 miles, through the storm. Because I figured, better to show up looking like hell than not show up at all. Maybe that would say something. He stopped talking. The only sound in the office was the patter of rain against the window. Hale finally walked back to his desk and sat down, folding his hands. You care more about the job than the suit. Leo nodded. Yes, sir. Hale's eyes narrowed. He was quiet for a long moment. I once walked into a pitch meeting with a hole in my shoe, he said. Nobody noticed until I left a trail of blood on the carpet. That was 35 years ago. The man who interviewed me didn't care about the shoe. He cared about the hustle. Hale leaned forward. You think your appearance today is a weakness. But it's not. It's a test you already passed. Leo frowned slightly. I don't understand. This interview. It happened the moment you walked through that lobby. The moment you stood your ground despite the looks, despite the embarrassment. I once told my board, give me the intern who crawls through mud to get here. He'll run through fire once he's in. Hale extended his hand. You're hired. Leo blinked. Sir, welcome to Stratton and Hale. You're our new intern. Don't disappoint me. Leo stood and shook his hand. Mud still clung to his sleeves, and he was mortified to leave a smear on Hale's wrist. But Hale didn't flinch. 3 months passed. Leo came in early, stayed late, and learned fast. He didn't dress the best or talk the slickest, but he read everything, volunteered for the hardest assignments, and listened more than he spoke. He didn't try to impress, he worked. Other interns whispered that he was Hale's favorite. But Leo never acted like it. He still sat at the smallest desk and ate lunch in the break room. He still called his mom every night and wired money home. One afternoon, the office broke out in celebration. The firm had closed a $45 million investment deal. Champagne bottles popped. Executives cheered. Leo sat quietly, reviewing spreadsheets. Hale passed by and noticed. You're not celebrating. Leo looked up. Still a long way to go. Hale smiled slightly. Good. He reached into his coat and handed Leo an envelope. Your bonus. The partners were impressed. Leo opened it. It was a check. $100,000. He stared, speechless. Hale placed a hand on his shoulder. Start investing. Let's see what you can do. 5 years later, Leo Carter's name was added to the executive board of Stratton and Hale. The youngest partner in firm history. People still told the story of how he walked into his interview covered in mud. But now, when they told it, they finished with a quiet nod. And that intern, he became a legend. Because sometimes, what you walk through tells the world more than what you wear. And Leo never forgot the man who saw past the mud, and gave him a chance.